Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, this is beeswax, and we're taking it all along this thread because we're going to make a reed. And we're going to make a reed from start to finish. And this is going to be the first part of many parts. You can do this many ways. I have this hook here tied to this desk, and it helps a lot. Then we found a good staple. This tube with a cork on it, which holds our cane and our reed in place, is called a staple formally. We're going to put on this mandrel, which is this piece of equipment here. And this is a number 2 mandrel. However, I think it might fit better because it's not going all the way to the end in this second mandrel I have, which is actually smaller. Let's see. No, actually it fit better on the number 2. This is a better mandrel. Mandrels are quite expensive, and the tubes can range. Some of them can go for as little as a couple of dollars, and some can go as much as $100, which I have a gold tube there, staple, that I will be using. Now, the next step is we're going to take this cane. You can see here it's been soaking for a while. Once the cane floats to the bottom, that means it's ready to be tied. This cane has been gouged. That means it was taken from a piece of something similar to bamboo, similar to this called darundo donex. It is then spliced into 4, and then it is thinned out into sections that we use to make. These are actual flutes that are made by reed. We actually go and we thin it out to where we have this perfect section right here, which we're going to turn into an oboe reed. This is for oboe. You can do the same with bassoon and English horn, oboe d'amore, all those others. Now, typically this is done with another device called an easel, which I never use. I just do it by sight and dividing it into 2. And the fact that it's soaked means it will not split. Let's see how close I can get just by eyeing the middle of the actual blank. And hey, not bad. Almost right there. Now the next step is another tool. That's why we don't make a lot of money, because we spend it all on tools. This is a shaper tip. Now the tip is pretty expensive, but the actual shaper, which is this, is the most expensive part. This is a Caleb -1, which to my knowledge, you can't find one very easily nowadays. This was the one that my teacher gave me. And he actually rebuilt it from a broken one. We had to re-solder the bottom tip. So now we go ahead and we take, this is our razor knife. This is for cutting the edge of the reed off, clipping the tip. But we also use it for things like this. We're going to take just some pieces off of the sides so that it fits better on our shaper. And then we're going to shape our cane. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to place it on our shaper. Perfect. We're going to make sure it's all on there nice and straight. Hold it down. And we're going to go ahead and tighten these little arms that hold our cane in place. Not too much, you don't want to split the cane, of course. So just to where it closes. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a razor blade, and we're actually going to thin the sides. You don't take too much out at once. You want to take little by little, little by little. And it's amazing. How do you get good at making reeds? Well, you got to make a lot of reeds. Right now, I have an order for 10 reeds. I just finished 1, so only 9 more to go. Oboe reeds, and then 10 bassoon reeds. So this is all part of Oboe Gold. Handmade double reeds by me. And so here we go. We're just taking out the sides. We're getting deeper and deeper, but we're trying to be very careful because that's how you get the most precise shape. In other words, you want to emulate this steel shaper tip onto this piece of cane. Make sure that they are exactly the same, as close to it as possible. Now we turn it around and we go and we do the other side as well. And you can see that I'm just taking a little bit out at a time. Just a little bit out at a time. Here we go. Just like so. Just like that. And we're holding on to the back of the cane with our index finger to make sure it's nice and secure. And we're just going back and forth, making sure it's nice and even, very well placed. So bam, just like so. Just like that. That looks good. And once we're done with that, we release it from our little shaper tip. Make sure that our shaper tip has not moved. Sometimes it does move. It's nice and straight. And there's screws here that actually could move that around, but no, it's nice and straight. Place it there. It's very, very delicate. You gotta be careful of those. And now we go ahead and we take our staple and we mark the front, middle, so we don't tie lopsided. And then we measure out on this shaper tip, the length to tie would be 73. So we have it measured out here on our picometer, 73. And we extend the cane until it hits that 73 mark. Yep, right there, that's 73. Make sure we're looking in the middle of the actual staple. We're going to go ahead and we're going to mark the end of the staple, or tube per se, so that we don't tie over. Because if we tie over, then we choke the reed. And it has to be just perfect. Not too much and not too little. It has to go right to there. So now that we have that marked, and we have the reed well placed, right? Now we're going to take our thread, we're going to go and we're going to hold it strategically so it does not move. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap around. We're going to wrap around the middle like so. And we're going to make sure it's nice and straight all around, just like so. Looks good. And we're going to slowly kind of push and tie. Push and tie. Push and tie. Push and tie. Now we've gotten to the end of this. We're going to go around and we're going to flip over and go the other direction. And just keep on with pressure. You want to make sure you're pressuring this. This is like fishing lure. It's not going to break on you. You're going to go ahead and you're just going to tie with pressure. And make sure you're tying straight. Make sure you're not moving from the middle of that tube. And just make sure that's nice and neat. It can bunch up on you, this thread. So you got to make sure. Now, once you've gone past the actual cane, you can stop there. But for kids, I like to go all the way to the end so that they don't have any gaps. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to pull back and you're going to do your bunny rabbit. Bunny rabbit ears. 1, 2, 3. And you go ahead and you place that down there. And you pull, and that's a knot. You do that again. Bunny rabbit. 1, 2, 3. And you go all the way to the bottom. And you go, and you pull. Alright, so that's enough thread. You don't need any more thread on there. And your reed is nice and secure. You pull it, give it a nice tug. And then you're going to go by with your knife, your razor blade, and you're just going to cut the end. On both ends. Just like so. Now we're going to check a few things. First, we're going to check the length. Let's see how long our reed came out to be. It's right at 73. That's good. Sometimes it gets a bit longer. We drag it out, but no, it's right on 73. That's good. Next thing we're going to see is it in the middle, matching the middle of the tube or staple? And it is. We can see it there. It's hard to see in the camera. Then we're going to compare it to another tube, and we're going to see if we went over. That's like a short tube. Let's see with this tube here. And no, we are right there. It is perfect. So we pretty much hit all our markers. This is a well-tied blank oboe reed. Now the next thing, you can't leave it like this. We're not going to finish it today. We just want to tie. We're going to tie another one and go home. But we want to go ahead and we're going to take off those ears. And we're going to use our blunt knife. I have several knives. This one's pretty blunt. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take off the ears. Just kind of take off those ears. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go from the end. And just the very end of the cane. And we're just taking off. We're thinning out that cane. Thinning out the cane. We're taking off the bark. That's all we're going to do today, folks. Why? Because we're eventually going to break it open. We're going to cut it open with our mandrel, with our plaque. We're going to use our plaque, which we're going to introduce as the latest tool to use now in our reed making journey. And we're going to let it sit all night so that it can get nice and comfy. And tomorrow we'll come back, we'll soak this cane again, and then we'll get to work on it. And we'll have a good working reed by the end of tomorrow. And then the next day we'll do some finishing touches, see how it's changed, and yeah, anything that needs to be done then. So we're just taking out the cane, just taking out the bark. We're making sure we go all the way to the end, right? We want to have this kind of triangular summit in the middle. That's what gives us our signature sound. And that's the difference between American cuts, French cuts, and English cuts. The English just do a straight kind of rectangle there on the bottom. The French are the ones that do kind of like towards the middle. It gives us more power, intonation, articulation, color. The color is definitely different. The Americans do a different variation on that cut as well. So I go between a French and an American, my own style. So now we're going to take our plaque. This is a plaque. Mine has pointy ends, so I can get in there easily. It's made from steel. It's not going to break. And it's how we work on the reed. We slip in our plaque, and we slowly, very carefully, go all the way to the middle. And then we turn around our reed, we go in there, and we do the same. And it did not crack. Yay! So now we let the plaque go in the middle. And we take a little bit more. We use our second knife. This is the second dullest knife. And we're just going to go ahead. And you see, we take a lot more cane out with our plaque in there. And we're able to just go ahead and clean that up. Leave the end of the reed ready to be started tomorrow. Look at that. Look at that. You just gotta push with your thumb. It's like a spring. And you're pushing down with the knife and just moving it back and forth with your thumb and your index finger to get that cane off of there. You want it to go all the way to the end. Because there's one rule my teacher taught me, and that is that the end of the reed is the thinnest part of the reed. The tip has to be the thinnest, all the way to the end of the tip, making sure to take off all that crap, all that bark, all that dark cane. You want to get rid of all that cane. And then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll continue to work on this amazing little reed. And there you have it, folks. And that's a good blank. Now we're going to go ahead. Tip opening is good. Everything looks great. This is a very promising reed for the kids. And we're going to finish it tomorrow. Thank you so much. We'll tune in tomorrow for the second part.